Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you all for today's free webinar, which is about a special opportunity to learn modern biotechnology and life science techniques using innovative omics logic research-based online training. My name is Sonalika Ray, and I want to start by introducing our company, vision, and team that stands behind the various resources and training programs we will go over today. Omics Logic is a program for bioinformatics training that was developed, sorry, that was developed in collaboration between Pine Biotech and the Tauber Bioinformatics Research Center at the University of Haifa. The company was started as a result of technology transfer from the center, which was founded by Dr. Alfred Tauber and Dr. Leonid Brodsky. Dr. Alfred Tauber, who comes from a medical background, has extensive expertise in oncology, immunology, and biochemistry of inflammation, and has been recognized internationally for his generous support of many research projects and initiatives that support data science training and applications in medicine. Dr. Leonid Brodsky is the director of the Tauber Bioinformatics Research Center at the University of Haifa and is an expert in bioinformatics and biostatistics. He has numerous publications in mathematics and bioinformatics, and over the course of his career, he has developed multiple novel algorithmic approaches to biomedical data analysis. The rest of the team includes experts in bioinformatics, computer science, and training. Some of our team members will be presenting today as well. As a result, we have acquired professional certification to offer our curriculum and support research projects using our Omics Logic project-based curriculum. Over the past several years, we had the privilege of working with a number of organizations developing a training program for a research-oriented student, faculty, and democratizing bioinformatics, making this discipline accessible to thousands of students and faculty around the world. Using the cutting-edge Omics Logic resources, we bring a unique opportunity to learn computational biology and apply data science techniques by working with experts bioinformaticians. And in today's first session, we will go through the introduction to the program, followed by an overview of what all would be covered in today's session. So before we go through the topics that will be covered in this session today, as a community manager, I interact with many participants who are interested to know if they are eligible for this training program. So let me explain. This program is a great fit for students who are interested in learning about the ongoing life science research and want to develop a skill set to analyze genetic and clinical data. This program is also a great fit for researchers who are keen to apply computational biology tools to their research projects and faculty who are working on research projects and proposals and have a keen interest in teaching bioinformatics. The industry-driven Omics Logic curriculum helps biologists and clinicians working with industry and research labs to analyze their own data and take decisions based on the analysis. This program is available through our collaborators and mentors in the US, Canada, India, Sri Lanka, and for the students and researchers in Africa as well. So now let me quickly take you through the resources to which you would be having the access throughout this program. First of all, I would like to take you all through the program page of Omics Logic Bioinformatics and Computational Biology program. I'm pasting the link to the program page in the chat box. This program page enlists and program overview and also has the detailed session dates and schedules and the details of each and every session that would be covered in the program. If you have not completed your registration process yet and you are interested to do so, you have to do that via this program page only. And on the program page, as I'm already a member, I won't be getting the options, but yes, on the program page, you can see the option to register yourself for the program for $10. Now let me take.
Sonalika, I just want to interrupt you. Can you, are you sharing your other screen to us? Only your screen is visible, that is presentation.
Ma'am, let me share my screen again. Is my screen visible, ma'am, now? The program page I was talking about?
Yes, yes. No, this is it.
So let me just take you all through the program page once again. So on the program page, the overview of the program has been mentioned, and also the session and the schedule of whatever would be covered in the program. So we have 4 sessions in total. That is, today is the first session. Then we have the second session on 5th of August, and the third session on 9th of August, and the fourth session on 12th of August. Now, what all would be covered in those sessions is mentioned in the schedule here. And we have named these 4 sessions as 4 major workshops where we would be telling you about different domains, and you would have the access to the resources for 1 whole month on the portal. If you have not registered yourself, you can register yourself via the same program page where you would get an option to pay as well. That would be for $10. And once you complete the program, the certificate that you would be getting is somewhat like this, that we have showed the template of the certificate for the ease of those participants who would like to know how their certificate would look like. And now talking about the program participants. So I'm sharing the Slack channel group link. I had added you all here when you joined the program. So if you have not joined the program yet, you will get an invitation from us to join the Slack channel as well. And talking about the courses and the projects that you would be able to access via this program. So being a part of the program would let you the access of each and every course that is present on the Learn portal, and also the sample projects which we have on the Learn portal. To start with, you can start with the basic courses that is Bytes and Molecules, which covers all the basic domains which are covered on the courses portal of the Learn website, and also Introduction to Bioinformatics, getting started with R and Python. To talk in detail about these basic bioinformatics related programs that you can start with, I would like to pass it on to Dr. Harpreet. But before that, let me just take you through few important major steps which you have to ensure that you complete before starting with your courses. So once you are a part of the program, you have to also create an account on the Omics Logic Learn. And if you have already created, then you have to update your profile. Now, how do you update your profile? Once you are on your user ID, either have to click on the email address of yours or your name, and clicking on your name or mail address, you would be redirected to a profile tab. Here you have to update your profile picture and also link in your social accounts. Now, why do we ask you to link in your social accounts? That is just because we many a times feature your progress on our social pages, and it would be great to have you on our social pages as well. And that's why we would like to have your accounts linked. And we can monitor your progress on the profile section, whichever courses you are going through or whichever program or project you have joined or you are going through. We can monitor each one of them here. So let's say as a part of the program, you start with Bytes and Molecules, like I just did, and you complete the program. Once you complete this course, Bytes and Molecules, you will be able to get the certificate for this particular course in the certificate section in your profile. So if you have any doubts till now, please let me know in the chat box. I don't want to overwhelm you guys with a lot many things at once. And if you have not signed up yet, then let me just quickly share the link with you all so that you can also sign up while I am explaining each and everything to you. And as a part of the program, you will also have the access to the T-Bioinfo server. I'm sharing the link of the server in the chat box with you all. The T-Bioinfo server has got different sorts of utilities integrated where you can perform analysis based on different sorts of domains. But as a part of the program, you would have the access to only the demo pipelines. Now, I want you all to please ensure that you have the access to the server as a part of the program. Now, what would be your credentials for the T-Bioinfo server? So you all would have either created your login ID and password credentials while signing up on Omics Logic Learn, or you would have signed up via your social account. So the same ID and the password has to be used on the T-Bioinfo server as well to log in into the server. And if you're not able to log in with your basic credentials, which you used to create on the Learn portal, then please let me know at marketing@pine.bio. I'll be happy to give you the access to the portal and help you with the credentials. Here is my mail ID, marketing@pine.bio. You can also reach me out at marketing@omicslogic.com. We have a question. What projects will we have access to? Mehek, you will have the access to all the projects which are here on the Learn portal. So in short, if you go to the courses tab on the Learn portal, you are going to get the access of each and every part on the under the courses tab on the Learn portal, be it any of the projects or be it any of the courses. Let me quickly take you through the transcriptomics course just to give you guys an example of what the course looks like and how you can go through it. Now, if you go to this transcriptomics course, you have two sorts of lessons. You have at first the unstarred lessons. The unstarred lessons are those lessons to which all of you will have the access, either you are a part of the program or not. But to get the access to all the starred material on the Learn portal under the courses section, you need to be a part of the program. So the moment you enroll yourself for the program, all the starred lessons would get unlocked for you. And what all topics have been covered in the program or in the courses under the lessons, you can definitely go through that at your own choice. I'm sharing the link with you all, and you can go through the topics which are being covered. Now, again, to talk in more detail about the various topics that are being covered in the courses, Dr. Harpreet would be talking in more detail. So now I would like to pass on this session to Dr. Harpreet so that she can guide you through with each and every topic in detail and also help you go through the material. Over to you, Dr. Harpreet.
Thank you, Sonalika. Let me share my screen. Hello, everyone. My name is Harpreet Kaur, and I have a PhD in bioinformatics. In my current role, I am curriculum developer and research consultant with Pine Biotech. My major research interest lies in the application of the bioinformatics in different human health aspects. Primary research area is cancer genomics, but besides the oncology, infectious disease and neuroscience are other current research area of the interest. I'm the one of the I will assist you all during this program, and I will also assist you if you are facing any issue regarding any analysis. Now let's begin with today's session, and first let's understand about big data. So what makes a data as a big data? So there are the 5 major characteristics that makes a data as big data. The first one is volume. So that is the amount of data is huge. For example, RNA-seq yields information about thousands of the genes or millions of the single nucleotide variants. Then next is variety. That is, if a data is unstructured and it can be assembled in many different ways. Often at times, the same phenomena can be described many different ways depending upon the type of the sequencer, preparation technique, or handling in a lab setting. Next is value. So the information we get out of the data is dependent on many aspects, including data noise, techniques, and error rates, as well as the completeness of the information on a single sample or maybe the multiple samples. Then is veracity. As we know, some samples can have low coverage while others have high coverage, but not the full sequences. So other might be generated by an older sequencer machine that might have high error rate. Even so, including all the data together can complete picture of the data. Last one is velocity. So this is one of the most important aspects that changes in the data type and new information that is generated by it. For example, as we know, Sanger sequencing is replaced by the shotgun sequencing. Eventually, no a single cell sequencing is initiated. So we are always learning new things and have to adapt to this idea that new samples expand our understanding before even we had the chance to study everything from the data that we already have. Now let's look at the history of the genomics data. It's been 70 years since the structure and the function of the DNA was discovered. NGS emerged with the sequencing of the first human genome in the year 2003. Then in the year 2015, there is 1000 Genome Project brought a significant number of the whole genome sequencing to the research community. So currently, there are nearly millions of the whole genomes were sequenced. And today, there is an ever increasing number of the data sets available that help researchers to understand cellular and biological processes. So this data is continuously growing at an exponential rate. But as we know, various technologies are used to explore the roles, relationships, and actions of various types of molecules that makes up the cell of an organism. So omics data can be generated using NGS, what is also known as high throughput sequencing. So these NGS data can be of various types based on the biomolecule involved. For instance, first one is phenomics that deals with the external phenotype of the organism. Then genomics that deals with the genetic entities at the DNA level or genomic variants. Epigenetics that involves the epigenetic modifications like methylation, acetylation of the DNA. Next is transcriptomics that deals with the RNA transcript. It includes gene expression or isoform expression, maybe the non-coding RNA as well, like long non-coding RNA or miRNA, etc. So this data is widely available for the general public, and this program will allow you to understand what it represents, how to analyze this omics data, and interpret your results. So many of us, maybe many of you are here, the biologists that trained in a basic biological processes and then specialize in certain area where we gain both knowledge and experience from the experimental data. So many of the examples we learned and information we accumulated came from carefully designed experiments where certain assumptions were tested. So the generated data from these experiments confirmed some of the assumptions and those were recorded as proven hypotheses. So all the biologists submit their experimental data in different public repositories. As a result, lot of data from the experiment is available. One of the repository like GEO, which is Gene Expression Omnibus, alone contain more than 80,000 public data sets spanning hundreds of the tissue types among thousands of the organisms. So this data is continuously growing in exponential manner. The growth in high throughput sequencing of the cancer genomics and transcriptomics has produced big data problems that precludes many cancer biologists and oncologists from gleaning knowledge from these data regarding the nature of malignant processes, as well as the relationship between tumor genomic profiles as well as the treatment response. So that is why it is important to learn about these data types and how efficiently we can process and analyze that. Now let's look at where you can find various types of big data and associated studies and how it continuously growing with the time. Let's talk about one of the major repositories which contain information regarding the publication. So one of that is PubMed. So here you will find, you can create a query to extract a specific research questions. So you can always create your specific query by going into the advanced option where you can create specific query depending upon your research interest. Now let's look at the important major data resources where you will find thousands of the data sets. So one of the repository is GEO, which is Gene Expression Omnibus. So this repository maintains raw as well as the processed data. Then there is another important repository which contains the raw data, that is SRA, which is Sequence Reader Guide. So then if you're interested to understand about the project associated with these studies, you can find a specific project by going into the bioprojects. Besides, so these common repositories, there are important repositories that are disease specific. For example, if you are interested in the cancer area or cancer research area, so then you can find different repositories like Array Express, GDC, which is Genomic Data Commons. Then you will find repositories associated with the GCSC, then Cosmic if you are interested in a mutation data. If you are interested in the protein data, so you can find a repository that is Protein Atlas. Then there is a specific repository that is associated with the virology field, that is Elsevier virus. So here you can find data associated with the different types of viruses. So you will find both metadata as well as genome sequences related to the different viruses. So if you have any question, please feel free to post your query in the chat box and we can address those queries. Now, another important thing that we need to understand, that is a biologist is largely driven by a hypothesis, which is often a result of past observation. So the observations give rise to the question that can be definitely answered using data generated in an experiment. And the outcome of the experiment or the result of the analysis. So eventually your results are the knowledge. So, but the big data is changing the way we can view the results. So results are often at times data itself. That is, you need to reanalyze this data by numerous, these data can be analyzed by numerous groups or labs to generate hypotheses before any new data is generated. Now let's understand about data-driven approach. So for example, if a disease outbreak could be forecasted like the weather, so then the communities could set up protective measures to control their impact. For example, at Los Alamos National Laboratory, scientists are improving disease forecasting mathematical models by using clinical data with various internet sources and coupling it with the satellite machinery. So their goal is to develop a better understanding about how a disease spread, eventually to able to predict disease outbreak. As we know, researchers are generating large volumes of biological data, which has changed the way that biomedical research is done. So an important aspect of a big data analysis is the ability to identify the trends in the omics data without an experimental or clinical mechanistic understanding. So typically, this is to referred as data-driven research or hypothesis-free research. Instead of starting with a hypothesis, in data-driven or hypothesis-free research, we allow the data to drive our hypothesis. So next, by harnessing machine learning tools, one can discover relationships or trends in the data that are not obviously enabling researchers to ask specific questions on the basis of computer identified trends. Now let's understand how we can proceed with the data-driven approach. Typically, this process has 6 major steps. First, you identify your question. Then you do the review finding. Then you design your models. Then you gather the data. Eventually, once you have your data, so then you design your models and formulate a hypothesis. Cause a specific variable influence the result of a chosen model. So once we have done with these steps, then we have to proceed gathering the data, collect the information about the variables. Eventually, we headed towards a data analysis. So where we can apply various statistical or machine learning models to evaluate the correctness of our approach. And then we need to repeat the procedure until the method has been identified. So at last, results implementation, you have tried to compile all the results in a specific research report. Now let's see how big data helping clinicians and researchers in precision oncology. So for example, a patient gives a tumor sample to a lab which completes its genetic and protein analysis and sends the data to a bioinformatician. So a bioinformatician further analyze the sample for omics data, like would have RNA-seq data, maybe you have mutation data, maybe you have protein data using different biomedical research tools. So from the results based on the omics data, a drug therapy can be recommended that closely aligned with the patient's molecular profile. So this would both include FDA approved or maybe unapproved drugs as well as the targeted therapeutic design. So the physician and the patients are provided with additional evidence, including adverse reactions, failure rates, and other treatment trade-offs that should be considered when we making decision at the beginning or during the course of a treatment. So during this program, we will explore the examples of cancer research, viral infections, as well as microbiome composition, areas that have a major impact on all the health aspects. So these projects will give you an insight into the data set where you can learn how to design your own research projects. Let's look at one of the study and which is talking about PDX project. So this particular publication was published in the OncoTarget in the year 2016, where Broadhead et al. Have explored whole transcriptome profiling of patient-derived xenograft models as a tool to identify both tumor as well as stromal specific biomarkers. So they investigated RNA-seq as a hypothesis-free tool to generate independent tumor and stromal biomarkers and explored tumor-stroma interactions by exploiting the human mirroring compartment specificity of the patient-derived xenograft or PDX model. So in this study, across the pan-cancer cohort of 79 PDX models, authors determined that mouse stroma can be separated into the distinct clusters, where each cluster corresponds to a specific stromal cell type based on the omics profiles of the sample. Further, authors mainly explored breast and lung cancer subtypes using the PDX model. So in our program, we will try to perform various NGS analysis using the data set from this particular study for the PDX project, which is patient-derived xenograft. Now let's understand what is a PDX model. So PDX models are generated when a fresh tumor tissue obtained directly from the patient and is implanted subcutaneously or orthotopically into immune deficient mice. So as such, these PDX models maintain principal histological, clinical, and molecular characteristics of the original patients while remain biologically stable. Since PDX models are more closely resemble and recapitulate tumor growth in humans than standard in vitro cell line, so these PDX models are more preferred in comparison to the cell line for the preclinical drug development. So in our upcoming sessions, we will try to analyze breast cancer subtypes using these PDX models. So here that we are the breast cancer subtypes that we're going to consider, that is ER positive and triple negative. Now what is ER positive? So that is estrogen receptor positive breast cancer, which is identified by the presence of an estrogen receptor on the cell membrane. And while the triple negative cancer has none of the three common receptor on its membrane, and this is just the one difference that makes triple negative more aggressive subtype, while ER positive is more curable subtype of the breast cancer. So in this example, we will take the dataset from publication modeling precision treatment of the breast cancer, which is featured in the Genome Biology. So this publication is interesting because the authors assembled a dataset of about 50 different breast cancer cell lines that represent the whole spectrum of breast cancer variation. So the cell lines have genomic, transcriptomics, proteomics data, as well as the efficacy measurement of commonly used and experimentally used cancer drugs. So this is one of the courses that I would recommend you must go through to understand the deeper understanding regarding the bioinformatics. If you are just starting the bioinformatics, so let me take you on the platform, and here some of the courses that you need to complete to understand where bioinformatics can be applied and how bioinformatics can be applied in diverse fields, including health as well as agriculture field. Now, let me take you to our Learn platform and let me introduce these lessons first. Let me know once you are here. So if you are here, under the courses, you will find, if you just click on the courses, so you will find different courses. The first course is, if you are new to the bioinformatics, then you must go with the first course, that is Introduction to the Bioinformatics and Bytes and the Molecules. So if you are new to even the biology, if you have background from maybe the computational biologist, so then if you want to learn about important terms, so this is the first course that you must go through, that is Bytes and the Molecules. So here, this lesson is divided into the different lessons so that you will learn it in a step-by-step manner. So in the first step, you will get the glimpse of what are the different types of the molecules. Like we already talk about transcriptomics, genomics. So you will learn all the basics of those biomolecules. Especially this course is recommended to those who are new to the bioinformatics, or you are new to the biology. So you must go through this particular course. So there are the 6 lessons. Once you complete each of these lessons, you will also find the quiz as well as the assignments. So you must complete those assignments to complete this course. Once you completed the course, then you will automatically get the certificates here. And the most important thing, you must complete your profile. So what is your profile? So let me just show you my own profile. So here you mention your official name so that your name would be printed on a certificate. So whatever the name you mentioned here, that would be printed on your certificate. And another thing, you also add a little introduction about you so that anyone who is going to look at your profile will learn about you. Accordingly, we can recommend you the courses that you must go through. And of course, apart from that, you can also link your profile on a social media like LinkedIn, as well as if you are on ResearchGate, so you will also, if you are researcher, so you must link your ID with the ORCID ID. And now let me take you to another important course, that is the course number 2. If you are new to the bioinformatics, especially you must go through this course, that is Introduction to the Bioinformatics. So here again the course is divided into the 3 lessons. The first is about, of course, the introduction of the big data. Then you will learn the application of the bioinformatics in the healthcare. Then apart from the healthcare, you will learn what are the different fields like agriculture where you can apply the bioinformatics. Now, apart from that, in this particular lesson, if I just go to this particular first lesson, so here you need to submit your form. So please fill this form so that we will learn like what you are current label and whether if you are new. So accordingly, based on this form, we will recommend you the different courses. And now let me take you to the another course that is on the R. Now, if you are interested to learn the programming skills, so especially if you are interested to learn Python or R, so here we have the courses that is in getting started with the bioinformatics. So here we have 2 lessons. One is getting started with the bioinformatics in Python. The other is getting started with the bioinformatics in R. So now let me take you one of this course first, that is with R. So let me also paste the link of this file. Maybe you can practice it with me. So once you are here, please let me know, type yes. So if you already registered on this platform, and you must be directed to this particular program. So type yes if you are here. Now if you are not, maybe you can practice it later. So first let's see how we can simply load any data in R. So if we have already TXT file, CSV file, which is comma separated, TXT, which is tab separated file, and if you have also Excel, how you can read the first step, how you can actually load your data in R. So each lesson is divided into the sub-step, where each step explaining you one by one step. So the first step is explaining why bioinformatics is important, and one of the important language, particularly R, how you can actually use R on your system. So first, here we are using this particular platform. If you are also want to install R on your system, particularly R Studio, so then you will also get this video how you can install R on your own system. So once you're able to learn that and able to install R, then you can move to the next step. So here in the second step, mostly you will find the code breakdown where you can learn the code. Here, in a small code block, we have explained the code in a step-by-step manner so that you can understand what you are going to do with this particular code. So here, for example, you will learn like how to import and view a TXT file into R. So what we are going to do, so here, for example, simply this data code is explained, data equal to read dot table. So as we know, R is one of the object oriented language. So what we are doing, first we're creating this object that is DF. So you can name it anything. Then with read dot table command, you can read a data. So then here first what you need to do, you need to provide the path or the URL of the file. Then you need to provide whether this file have header or not. Then how the columns in the files are separated from each other. Now you will also get the details like here. So what header means, what is the separator means. So you will get a lot of details here. Now once you have learned your code, then the next step is how you can actually run this particular code. Now, next is practice it yourself. Now what we need to do, you can read the instructions. For example, the first here, when it is write yourself, it is the practice step where you can actually practice it yourself. For example, here it is explained, import and view a txt file. You can use this txt file, link is here. Let's copy the link, copy link address. And another thing I'm also just show you like what kind of file is this. So this is the simplest file. Here you have 4 columns and then you have 4 rows where you have some information. So here we have particular data regarding flower, tree and bird. So you will have some number. So this is how we can read this file in the R. Let me just show you here. First of all, we need to create an object. For example, I'm creating an object df or data. Then either it's equal to or in R, this is also assigning sign. So this is less than and dash. So this is assigning sign. Then we can read dot table. So this is the command that we can use to read any file except Excel. So then what you need to do, apply this parenthesis and within the parenthesis, just add first quotes and in the quotes provide the path of your file. So this is the URL that I copied it from here. Now I'm providing it here. Then we need to define separator. So now what is the meaning of separator? So separator means in the file, how your columns are separated from each other. So what we can do, separator is tab, and you might have the separator like comma. Then we can also define whether our file have header or not. So if you look at this, so we have header. So what we need to do, we can need to define header equal to true. Right, so this is how we can going to read your file. So no, we can also actually print this file. So if you just write print df or only df, oh, sorry, this is data. I had named this as data. So you will get the automatically your data will be printed here. Now other things that I just want to show, you can also check the dimensions. So most of times when you run the code as it is, like it is given. So you probably will get the exact answer. That is why you will get this correct answer. But for example, I just want to play with this data as well, which is not here. For example, how you can check the dimensions of your data. Dimensions means how you can check how many columns or how many rows are here. So with the simple command, dim command, you can check the dimensions of your data. Although you are getting this message because it was not originally part of this code. So this is something that I have played with this. So probably you will get this answer if you read this command, successfully running code, but answer is incorrect. It doesn't mean that your answer is incorrect because I have added additional rows, right? Which is I'm printing here. So when I have done this, so another thing in the R or Python, so how you can comment a particular line. So comment means no, this is not a part of your code. So we with the simple this sign, we can do the commenting. And now if I check the dimensions of my data, I can clear this console. So if I rerun this data, now I would get the dimensions like how many rows and how many columns in my data. So this is how we can check. Apart from that, sometimes your file is very large. So you cannot print your whole file on the console. So then what we can do, we can also check top lines. So what we need to do, just write head. So head command usually print top 10 rows of your data. So if you do the head, although here your complete data will be get printed because you have only 4 columns and 4 rows, right? Okay, so this is how we can read tab separated file. So then how we can read an Excel file? The question that we have, from Halimet, but programming language is usually in bioinformatics. So both R and Pythons are used. And if you are more interested in statistical and visualization purpose, for that R is preferred. If you are want to do some particularly coding in terms of machine learning, in that case both R and Python are preferred. But yeah, Python is more preferred particularly for machine learning or the deep learning. Although you will get all the libraries and the packages both in R and Python. So depending upon your proficiency in a particular language and your interest, so both you can use any of these languages. I hope I have answered your question. Okay, so the next is how we can read Excel file. Now first we have an Excel file. For that Excel file, to read an Excel file, one of the important package that is needed, that is open.excel. So in R, how you call a particular package? So to calling a package, we actually write is like library open, always with the library function. So library, then you need to provide the package name. So this is the package that we required for this. Now with instead of read.table, we need a command that is read.excel. Here I need to provide path of the Excel file. So I'm just copying this URL. So then in quotes, I'm providing that. And then here, sometimes we can also, for example, you in your Excel, you have multiple sheets. So then you also you can define the sheet number. For example, sheet 2 or sheet 1. Right now, here I have all the data in the sheet 1. Although if the data is only first sheet, then there is no need to define this. But if you need to define your sheet number, if you have, for example, Excel sheet number 5 or 6, right? So at that point of time, you can define sheet either with the number, or you can also define sheet 1. For example, sheet 1, right? Like this, if you have some name. So right now, since our data is only one sheet, so we can, as it is, we can use this. So MATLAB is preferred by many bioinformaticians, like not, but it is not a common. So that is what I'm saying, depending upon your proficiency. So that anyone actually use any of these languages. And yes, Linux and operating system are the important if you are bioinformatician and if you want to write your own codes and do want to analysis only in the programming skills. But as here, this particular program or our, we have another tool that, let me also, if you are not particularly a bioinformatician, or if you have not, like you are not willing to learn a programming, so then you can perform various analysis on this particular T-Bioinfo server itself, where you can perform number of the analysis. So here you need not to require any programming skills. If you don't want to learn, or if you have feel it difficult to learn a programming language, still you can perform various types of bioinformatics analysis on this T-Bioinfo server. So you have this particular platform is divided into the different sections depending upon the type of the data and type of the analysis. But how these codes are working at the back end, so many of the codes are particularly for the analysis aspect. So we have already defined these or provided these kind of codes here, so that you will learn if you want to learn to do any analysis. So this is like how you can read TXT file, which is tab separated, and then how you can read Excel file. So another format that is usually preferred, that is CSV format. So CSV format means comma separated file. So let me also show you. So comma separated file. So you can also use that. For that, either you can read that in the same command read.table. Otherwise, you can use this read.csv. So here only thing that you need to change, that is separator. Now always with the separator, you can always define different types of the files. Whatever, for example, if it is comma separated, you just need to define it as comma. If it is tab separated, in the programming, backspace T is representing tab separated. And another thing, if you have any other separator, for example, this type of, so you can read also this file. In this file, let me also show you, like we are using kind of the same command. So we can read this type of file as well. Is it clear to everyone? And this is just a first lesson, and this would be your assignment as well. So that you must go through white cell molecules, and then you also must go through this particular lesson, that is lesson number 1, how to load and read data, and how you can install RStudio on your own system. So you will learn all these things here. So before the next session complete, at least white cell molecules or introduction to the bioinformatics, and also just go through this particular course. Now I would like pass this session back to Ms. Sonalika. If you have any questions, feel free to post your query in the chat box. So over to you, Sonalika.
Thank you so much, Dr. Harpreet. So before we end this session, I would like to take this chance to talk about the symposium we have. So we are bringing together students, researchers, faculty, and industry to discuss recent advances in omics data and bioinformatics, and the discussions will highlight challenges, opportunities, and the applications such as the clinical, pharma, biotech research, and agriculture as well. The symposium will be accompanied by a poster session and competition awarding prizes, and will give a stage to students, faculty, and research teams to present their work and get expert feedback. By joining, students will broaden their horizons and get an opportunity to explore collaborative projects, internships, and careers as well. And the symposium will also provide a forum to showcase the Omics Logic training programs, outcomes, and new developments with educational and research resources. Our research fellows and collaborators will have the chance to present their projects and hear from other bioinformatics domains as well. And our students and teams from India, the US, and Africa, and other locations will showcase their research projects in application to cancer, neuroscience, infectious diseases, and biotechnology. I'll share with you all the registration page for the symposium. So we have two categories here: the ones who want to join the symposium just as listeners to listen to the great talk of our speakers. We have wonderful speakers from different departments and great universities who want to join as listeners can join for free. And those who would want a certification would have to proceed with the registration for $5. We have kept very very reasonable registration amounts, and those who would like to proceed with the poster presentation, they would have to submit their abstract on the registration page itself. I'll just share the link with you all in the chat box, and the registration for poster presentation is $10. And here we also, as I mentioned, we'll also talk about the career opportunities and discuss what are the various other opportunities to carry out the research project and what a person should go ahead with thinking about their career. And also we provide guidance related to different sorts of fields and jobs as well. If you all have any doubts, please you may ask in the comment section. Yes, sure. So Kaina, I'll share the recording with you. I think you joined late. Let me take you through the registration process as well for those who just joined and are interested to join the program but have not registered yet. While I'm pulling up the page for the program page, you can share your queries or ask your doubts as well in the comment section. Here is the link to the pre-registration page for the symposium. And once you submit your abstracts, we'll get back to you after reviewing your abstracts. Now, how to reach the program page of the Omics Logic Bioinformatics and Computational program? you have to go to the portal learn.omicslogic and go to the programs tab, and there you will find the program Omicslogic Bioinformatics and Computational Biology. Let me just quickly log out to show you how you have to register yourself for the program. Let me know in the comment section if you have completed your sign up. And also let me know the registrants. Have you all received the Slack invitation and joined the group or not yet? Maybe you can send a yes or one in the chat box. This is the program page where you have to register. Amel, we won't be having a course session every day. And so we have different batches for countries. I will be shifting you to the Africa team, and I have already had a word with the community manager regarding you. He will get back to you on your mail ID and will help you with the payment process. And we have 4 sessions in total for this program, wherein we would be explaining to you about the different resources that could be used and talk about genomics, metagenomics, and transcriptomics and big data, and would also take in your queries. And then you have to go through the asynchronous course material, run the pipelines, complete the assignments, and the access would be for a month. I hope that answers your question. If we have any other doubt, you can please ask in the comment section, or you can mail me at marketing@omicslogic.com. I've sent in my mail ID in the chat box. Thank you guys for joining. Have a great day.